Hello everyone. Welcome back to another English online session. Hope you all fine. Today I am going to explain a chapter from the text Beehive. The name of the chapter is Packing. It is actually a humorous story and it is written by Jerome K. Jerome. You will find a lot of instances in this story that make you laugh. So, Packing is a story about three friends who are getting ready to go for a journey. It follows the packing session of three friends, Jerome, Harris, and George. Thus, it begins with them starting the most important thing of a journey, packing. This story is an extract taken from Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. In here, Jerome is the narrator himself and writes about the experience he has while his friends decide to start packing. Further, it takes on us on a hilarious ride about three adults who struggle to do a basic thing as packing. Packing summary will take you through the follies or they experience in addition to their dog Montmorency's contribution. Similarly, it also shows how these other two friends are not that great when it comes to packing. So it's actually, I have already told you, it's a very humorous story. Packing things when you start journey, you have to pack all those things, whatever necessary. It is a basic skill actually, a basic thing. Without forgetting the necessary items, you have to pack everything for some days. If you spend somewhere, you need clothes and such things. Okay, you pack it carefully. All of you have done it. I know all of you have done it in your life, and sometimes we forget certain things. Okay, so it creates a kind of sometimes jovial, sometimes a tensed situation. Okay, this is explained here. Before explaining this lesson, let me give you a brief outline about the writer. Jerome Klepka Jerome was an English writer and humorist, best known for the comic travelogue Three Men in a Boat. Other works include the essay collections Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow and Second Thoughts of an Idle Fellow. Three Men on the Bummet, a sequel to Three Men in a Boat, and several other novelists. So, from the details given here, we understood that the element of humor can be found all his works. This work also has the element of humor. Now, let me explain this story. The writer Jerome liked to pack luggage for trips and announced that he would do the packing. Jerome thought that his ability to pack luggage was better than others. He asked his friends George and Harris to leave the task of packing to him. The two friends agreed to his offer instantly, which was strange. George sat comfortably on the easy chair, and Harris bent his knees as he sat on the sofa and kept his feet on the table. By saying that he would pack, the writer did not mean that his friends would sit and relax while he would do all the work. He had meant that he would boss upon them while they would do all the uh, works. So here we understood that this man, Jerome, is like to boss or supervise all the works. So just initially, he just told them that they are going for a trip. So he told them that he was going to pack everything. Actually, he expected the other two, George and Harris, would help him but they just sit and relaxed. He had to pack all those things alone. He was compelled to do that. He imagined or thought he would nag them and curse them for not knowing the work well, and then he would chip in to sort out the mess that they would create. He was irritated to see them sitting while he did all the work. He recollects that once he lived with a man who would sit lazily on the sofa all day through and would watch the writer to do all the works. The man would say that he enjoyed watching him go around doing all the work. This would make the writer mad with anger. The writer adds that he could not sit idle and watch others work like slaves. On the other hand, he liked to check their work, walk around with his hands in his pocket, and direct them on how to do the work properly. He feels that as he was energetic, it was a part of his nature to behave in that manner. So he is justifying his attitude that he would like to supervise the work of others, and he is not very much interested to do the work, but supervising others how they are doing it and giving instructions. That kind of bossy attitude he has, and he is also justifying it. The writer did not say anything to his friends and started packing. As he closed it, Harris said that he had forgotten to pack the boots. The writer felt that Harris could have reminded him before. He had closed the bag, but the thought that Harris was like that. This was followed by an irritating laughter by George, which made Jerome wild with anger. Jerome opened the bag to keep the boots in it. As he was about to close it, he was struck by a strange thought that had he kept the toothbrush or not. He says that he never remembers if he has packed the toothbrush or not. So next thing is when he started packing, he didn't disturb his friends or didn't ask anything. Finally, everything finished. When he tried to close the bag, one of his friends asked, Harris asked that whether he kept the boots or not. So I think this purposely he has waited to irritate him. He could have remembered him earlier, but he just purposely remembered him on time. So he just taken out again. He packed, and then he himself remembered that whether he has packed the toothbrush or not. Jerome adds that while traveling, he always mess up with carrying his toothbrush. He has nightmares of not having packed it, wakes up in sweat and looks for it. In the morning, he packs it before using it, then unpacks the bag to get the brush and use it. As it is the last thing that comes out of the bag and he has repacked the bag, he forgets packing it. At the last moment, he rushes to his room to get the brush, and finally he wraps it in his handkerchief and carries it to the railway station in his hand. As Jerome was looking for his toothbrush in his bag, he had to remove everything, but he could not find it. He created a mess. He found his friend's brushes many times, but could not find his brush. So again, he was narrating things happened in his life. He always forget his toothbrush. He just pack it in the morning, and again he take it and use it, and forget it sometimes. And finally, he just wraps it, cover it in his handkerchief, and put it in packet, and he go to railway station. These are the things happen in the past. So he always had a problem with packing this toothbrush. He might forget it, and he had done it many times. Now he kept everything back into the bag one by one, shaking each item, and finally found the brush inside a boot. Then once again he repacked the bag. Now, when Jerome closed the bag, George asked if the soap was there inside it. As Jerome was impatient, he replied that he wasn't concerned if it was there or not. He closed the lid and strapped the bag. Then he realized that he had packed his spectacle in it too, and had to open it again to get them. Finally, the bag was closed at 10:05 p.m. Then they had to pack the food baskets. Harris said as they were left with less than 12 hours to leave, they should pack a basket as well. Harris decided that the baskets would be packed by him and George. Jerome agreed to take his time for some rest while his friends packed the baskets. So here we understood the problem that he always had the problem of forgetting the toothbrush. At last, he found the toothbrush in one of his boots. Then he repacked everything, and till then, those two waited. And finally, when he again closed the bag, uh, they asked whether the soap was kept inside or not. So he became very much irritated, impatient, and so he said, whether I have packed or not, it doesn't matter, and he packed it. Then they decided to pack the food baskets. Now George and Harris decided to do that. George and Harris started packing the hampers in a happy mood. They wanted to show Jerome that they could pack well. Jerome waited for them to create a mess because he considered Harris to be the worst packer in the world. Jerome looked at the piles of plates, cups, kettles, and bottles, the jars, pies, cakes, and tomatoes which had to be packed into the hampers. He thought that as the boys would mess up, it would be an interesting thing to watch. The scene became interesting as they broke a cup at the start. Jerome says that they broke the cup to indicate that they could do that too, and to make things interesting. So here now this is the turn of George and Harris, and they started with a happy mood. They have started pack everything, all the utensils, all the materials they need, and as Jerome expected, they just broke a cup. So it is interesting for Jerome. Now he can involve in and supervise them or criticize their work. So he is interested in it. Now things are getting interested as Jerome expected. They are started creating mess. Harris placed the jar of strawberry jam on the top of the tomatoes. The tomatoes were squeezed by the jar, and then they removed the damaged tomatoes with the help of a spoon. Next, George stepped on the butter. Jerome remained silent but sat on the edge of the table to watch the action. His silence irritated his friends. They became nervous and stepped on the things. They kept the things behind them, and later, when they wanted them, they could not find them. They placed the pie on the bottom and kept heavier things on them, which smashed the pies. The boys overturned the can of salt on everything. Jerome says that they created a lot of confusion with the small pieces of butter. He had not seen anyone create so much mess with butter that was worth 1 and 2 pence, meaning it was a very small piece, as they did. So now things are getting interesting. These people are creating a mess around them, keeping things behind them and searching for it, squeezing it, smashing it, and keeping very small things or squeezable things like pie in the bottom of the basket and keeping heavier thing on it. So Jerome was watching everything and he was thoroughly, completely, he was enjoying each and everything what they are doing. George removed it from his slippers and tried to put it into the kettle. As he was unable to do that, he placed it on a chair. Harris sat on it and the butter stuck to him. He stood up and both the boys went around the room looking for the piece of butter. George looked intently at the empty seat on which he had placed the butter a few minutes ago. He took an oath of truthfulness that he had placed it there not even a minute ago. Once again, they searched it in the room. They met in the middle of the room, empty handed. So again, things went wrong. They removed the butter and kept it on the chair, and Harris sat on the chair and this butter stuck on him, but without knowing that they have searched the whole room, the butter, and even he swear that he just kept it a minute ago there, and they created a complete mess while packing. I am stopping the narration or the explanation here. The balance part of the chapter I will explain in the next class. As usual, just read the text. Don't forget to have a dictionary. Look for the meaning of new words and write it above it. See you in the next class. Bye.